Hey all, Crazy Mama Kelly here, coming at you from my part of PA. Well, it's been a bit since I've made a video for you, but about Weird PA. But I got this thing in the mail from the Historical Society. I'm a member of the Ridgeway Historical Society, or Elk County Historical Society, and I got this thing. It's called the Elkhorn. It's like publication. It tells you about the history of the area and whatnot and stuff. And there was actually a pretty interesting article made, or written in this column or whatever. So I figured I'd share it with you. This takes place in Dahoga, and it's not that far from here. It's near Twin Lakes, Kane area, that way. So this happened in Dahoga, and it happened on January 1st, 1914, which is kind of neat, New Year's Eve, this happened. Supposedly in that area, there was an Italian worker. He was a railroad worker. Never. Just read the article to you and let you know, and we'll talk about it a little bit, what I think it might have been, or what it could have been, or whatever, you know how it is. Said this train was delayed for the train was delayed for several hours, while fellow workermen followed the tracks of a foreigner who was lost for several hours. Okay, and this is Elk County Democrat, January 1st, 1914. So there was considerable excitement in and about Dahoga. A few nights ago, the D&H railroad train was several hours late in arriving at its terminal, and the trouble, according to the tale of the principal actor, was all due to a ghost. One of the Italian laborers employed by the chemical company went to a nearby spring for a pail of water, and when several hours had passed, it came time for the train to start for Dahoga. Mr. McMahon, who was in charge of the gang, and some of the laborers went to look for the fellow, fearing that some misfortune might have overtaken him. They located his tracks in the snow and followed him for a distance, for more than 6 miles. Then they gave up the search and returned to the waiting train and came on to Dahoga. When they reached a later place, they found that the missing Italian had arrived there a few minutes before the train. And this is what he says happened to him. It's kind of interesting, so listen up. Met a ghost.
I think that for like an hour
Okay.
now.
Okay. Kids. Okay. Met a ghost. The missing man gave a rather confused narrative of what happened to him when he went for the water. He declared that at the spring he met a real ghost, not the kind you read about, but one wearing a red cap, who was there with a strong arm and without parley, taking Mr. Sunny by the arm. Mr. Ghost led him 15 miles, no more, no less, into the woods, and then without further molestation freed him. Realizing that he was lost in the woods, the Italian made bold to ask Mr. Ghost where Dahoga was located, but the ghost, being one of those unobliging spirits, replied the known of no such place on his side of the river. The Italian states that he then started a tramp that lasted many hours, and when he finally did wander into the village, he came from an entirely different direction from the one in which he was working. The people of the town are in doubt as to whether he is mentally unbalanced. Some think the red cap worn by the ghost is suspiciously like the attire of a hunter who may have been playing a practical joke on the foreigner. Kane Republic. Okay, I think that's pretty interesting, And, it's January 1st, and I don't know if we have hunting seasons in and about January. Maybe we do. I'm not real sure. I'm not real big on the hunting thing around here, even though it's big. I'm not big. Okay, but I have this book. Okay, I have many books on this situation. Okay, I'm just saying it's out. Not saying this would happen because it said a ghost, but this just, maybe give you an idea, maybe some spookiness that's happened in this area, because we have a lot of woods in this area. I mean, we're surrounded by woodland. So, but this is one of the books I have on this subject. I have many books on this subject. It's called Fairies. See, it's Brian Fromm and Aaron Lee. It's a book about all different sorts of fairies, about what you do to warn you not to mess with them, and about, they have different drawings in here. It's kind of neat. At the end of the book, they have photographs that they found or taken of people, and in the images you can see fairies if you look hard enough. See, that's what's at the end. So it's a pretty good book. I like it. Okay, this is at the end. This is where I showed you the photos. The following pages constitute a photographic record of an expedition made by Mercer's Frau and Lee following completion of much of the illustrations of this book. Their aim was to complete the material, although already gathered, to some up-to-date fairy sightings. But despite a thoroughly researched itinerary covering known fairy haunts, they returned disappointed. Subsequently, the snapshots were submitted for a minute examination by a panel of experts who maintain that they do in fact show evidence of fairy presence. Kind of neat. So this is a book. There's tons of different, the drawings they have in here remind me of, see, really a lot of drawings. But in here, this is what I was coming to. This is one of the things I read. I read that in another book I have too about some fairies, different fairies are known to dress in red caps. So, red cap hunter type guy appears in the woods and takes this guy for a long journey, 15 miles out into the woods, nowhere, and then just leaves him there. Or fairy playing a trick on a human, because fairies are known to do that. They're mischievous. They're not really nice when they don't want to be. I mean, you have to take a lot of precautions. I mean, people used to worry about changelings and everything else because, fairy folk. But if you want to be a non-believer, which you could be, that's fine. You could say that changelings were nothing but disfigured children, birth defects, and people didn't want them, so they left them out, because that's what they did back then. If you didn't want your child, you just leave it somewhere. It's known to happen in England and Scotland and the European countries at one time. So, but this says here that it says it is very difficult to generalize on fairy appearance, yet we know that when they are not naked, fairies are most commonly observed wearing green coats and dressed with red caps, sometimes with the traditional addition of a white owl's feather. I know it doesn't say anything about a white owl's feather in the cap, but, make it as you will. I think it's neat because, who's to say that they're not in here? You know what I mean? Because like I said, we have a lot of natural resources around our area, and he went to a spring to gather the water. And a lot of fairy haunts their springs and stuff. And I know a couple people that talk about Dahoga in the surrounding areas, and they say sometimes they see strange things in the woods that they can't explain, like they're being chased. And people around here, I'm kind of having a hard time, difficulty finding people around here that want to admit to such things because they want to brush it off as nonsense, which is fine because they always say don't play in the devil's playground, if you don't want to have problems. So a lot of people don't talk about this stuff, or they don't want to, or they don't want people thinking they're crazy or whatever. I just don't care. I have an interest in paranormal, always have. But that's fine. But that's one of the things is, so you never know. So out Twin Lakes way around Dahoga, you never know. There might be something wrong in the woods. Just be careful. Alright. Blessings. Thanks for watching. Take care. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe below. I'm just going to get about and do just a little bit of work here and there. And gotta go to work tonight. Yay. So, take care, y'all. Thanks. Bye-bye. Peace. Blessed be. God bless and peace. Thanks.